Okay, we're delighted to be joined by Tim Pick, the UK offshore wind champion. Tim, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Daniel. Pleasure. Nice to be here on the Scottish Renewable stand.
It's fantastic. It's been a busy event so far. We've just heard your welcoming address. Can you give us a kind of an overview of that address and the kind of frame the size of the opportunity for the energy supply chain for us?
Yeah, so I think the overriding message here is that UK has a first mover advantage in this floating wind space, but we need to seize it. And I've made that message very, very clear to the highest levels of government. And that needs a number of things to come together. Primarily, we need to get on with upgrading our ports so they're ready for this opportunity. We need to bottom out our thinking on foundation design and how that integrates with the turbine. And then we need to ramp up the industrialization of the manufacturing and assembly process for those. Because if we're looking at, as I said in the talk, if we're looking at 5 gigawatts by 2030, that's 300 of these massive structures floated out from UK ports over the next 8 years. And let's face it, we're not ready to do that today, but we need to get ready.
There's been a lot of raised eyebrows about those targets, and we've seen the targets increase periodically over the last few months. Where are we on that journey, and how confident are you that we'll meet those targets?
Look, the key rate limit, in the Offshore Wind Acceleration Task Force, we're looking at every aspect of the development cycle to see where we can speed things up. So we're looking at everything from marine spatial planning and leasing to the habitats stuff, and the British Energy Security Strategy set out a way forward called the Offshore Wind Environmental Improvement Programme. So consenting, planning permission, CFD auctions have moved to annual, so trying to take time out of the system. But it's very clear to me that we're bumping up against a rate limiting factor here, which is the availability of grid connections. And a lot of those, due to physical constraints on the system, are pushed out to the 2030s. So currently we're looking at, if we use our UK's energy pulse model, which is the one I have best access to, and they're good guys who help me with this analysis, we're looking at around 44-ish, so a bit of a shortfall, largely driven by grid connections. There's some work going on to see what more we can extract from the existing grid. So there's an amnesty for people with old grid connection offers that maybe they're not going to use, and it comes with a bit of it's a carrot and stick approach. So it's an amnesty in terms of not being penalised.
So you're erring on the side of yes, we will meet these objectives, or
I'm erring on the side of it's doable, but it needs a rapid progress on what they call a holistic network design, not just the design, but the actual implementation.
And how well aligned is current government policy to facilitate those objectives?
All the discussions I've had since the new Liz Truss government came in, so discussions in Westminster, have all focused on the need for this industry to drive growth. And so lots of discussion about supply chain, jobs and growth. As I said in my talk, that's a slightly different nuance to the Boris Johnson regime, where he was all about gigawatts in the water, impatient. You can, as you see him on the TV, he's an impatient guy for some of those targets. Whereas I think here, it's looked at more as a joined up growth, jobs, leveling up type of strategy.
Okay, well, great to hear. Still lots to do, but the enthusiasm that we're feeling in the room today is palpable, and I think we'll get there if that enthusiasm is anything to go by. Thanks, Tim. All the best.
Thanks.